The errors of your past can resurface unexpectedly when life is at its best, but no matter what, happiness is always within reach. Here's the full recap of the movie always. It all starts on a rainy evening. Jang Cheo-min, also known as Jang Marcelin, runs to a guard station. He meets an older man who is resigning from being the watchman for that guard, and the man tells him to start the job that evening. That evening is his first night as a watchman, and as he watches his boxing match, a young lady sits beside him. The lady asks if the show has started and gives him gifts. He wonders what she is doing there, and when he sees she is so comfortable with him, although he doesn't know her, he asks her who she is. The young lady, Ha Young-hwa, is partially blind and can only see the light. She comes to that place to watch the show with the older man, and she assumes it is the older man who is sitting there. She asks about the older man, and Cheo-min tells her the man has resigned and he claims he is relocating. She reveals what she comes for but admits she will leave since the man isn't there. She takes her stick and leaves, but Cheo-min realizes she is blind. He walks after her and tells her she should come inside and watch her show since it is raining. She finishes the show, gives him the meal she had prepared for the older man and leaves. After leaving work, Cheo-min calls for a random person before going home. The following day, Young-hwa prepares for work. She is a telemarketer who picks up calls from customers who need help. She notices her manager coming behind her to tap her back, telling her to work hard as she is the greatest employee of the month. Even though she isn't comfortable with the touch, she doesn't complain. On the other hand, Cheo-min is a former boxer who had stopped working. He had won the 1999 boxing competition and for some reason, he hadn't trained again. He comes to his former training ground to meet his director and apologize to the director, but the director refuses to forgive him because he had spent all his money to train Cheo-min, but Cheo-min didn't make good use of his training. Before leaving, his manager introduces him to the other boxers who are training. He tells them about the year Cheo-min won the competition, and it turns out the person Cheo-min had fought at the final stage is Min Tae-sik, who is also presently training at the same boxing ground. Tae-sik comes out and admits his defeat but says he is no longer that weak player again. Instead of applauding him, Cheo-min replies that Tae-sik is trying, which makes Tae-sik challenge him to a duel. Cheo-min refuses to fight him despite the manager asking him to fight. Instead of fighting, he leaves the gym. He returns to work, and Young-hwa comes to watch her show. She keeps asking him several questions about the dress of the cast and their look. He gets tired of her questions and reminds her she should watch quietly, but she reminds him she is blind. She goes that evening and returns the next time to watch her show. He gives her a plate and puts pearls for her when she leaves. He watches her as she goes and sees a car scare her out of the way. She falls on a crate of drinks, and the drink falls. He runs to her so she won't get injured by the glasses and asks to take her to the hospital. He pays his colleague to cover his shift and takes her for treatment. As they return, she asks him about his name, and they walk home. He notices she is tired of walking, so he bends to carry her. She reminds him that the stairs to her place are long, but he insists and carries her down the road into her room. She asks him for another favor when he drops her by the door and tries to catch his breath. Her toilet had been clogged, water was flowing into her room, and she needed help. He caught his breath and went in to help her, and he saw that her panties had clogged it. He gives it to her, and she asks what his choice of music is. She invites him to a musical show as a gift, but he says he isn't a fan of music and doesn't have anyone to go with. As a result, she offers to go with him, and he accepts. She goes to change her hair and makes up beautifully for her date with him. He meets with her, and they go for the show. After a nice show, they are walking home, and he comments about her hair, which makes her ask if it is ugly. He tells her it is nice and asks if they could have a meal together. She takes him to the restaurant, and tries to know more about him as they eat. She asks him about his personality, and what he does every day, and when he says he only distributes water during the day, she asks how he had spent his young days and if he was violent. He doesn't want to answer the question, so he asks if she asks about people's private lives every time. He tells her he doesn't want to tell her, and she wonders if he doesn't care about how she feels now. He informs her that he doesn't want to know, but he knows he will find out what she eats in a day because she gives him irrelevant information. She feels bad and asks to use the restroom. He sees her off home and by the door. She apologizes for inconveniencing him. He realizes he has hurt her, so he reveals that he was a boxer and had a bad life growing up, so he doesn't want to tell her. She bids him goodbye and goes inside. She goes to work the next day, and her team leader, Ma, tries to give her a gift and asks her on a date, but she refuses. She walks home without stopping at the gate. Also, the director and manager of the gym came to see Cheo-min. The manager begs him to return for MMA, but he refuses. The director asks him where he had been all the years he had been away. He reveals that he was in prison. A flashback shows that after he left boxing, he started beating people for loan sharks, and he beat up an older man who got him imprisoned. Presently, he goes to a Catholic hospital to see a sick man. The sister who attended to him gives him a hairband for his girlfriend. That night, when Yoonghwa gets home, she finds Ma by her door. He insists on entering inside and asks for tea. He sees she didn't open his gift and opens it. He tries to wear the necklace for her, but she refuses it. She reminds him he is married, but he says he is divorced because he beats his wife. He tries to touch her, but she hits him, so he angrily beats her. Cheol-min comes inside and angrily fights Ma. Yoonghwa feels better and tells him to stop. Ma runs away, and Yoonghwa gets angry with him for doing that. She asks him what he will do if she gets fired, but he wonders if she wants to continue working in that company. She says she needs to feed herself, so he promises to take care of her, but she refuses, and he leaves. She doesn't come to or speak to him for the next few days. Some days later, she reveals that she has resigned and needs him to take her somewhere that weekend. He accepts to do that. By the weekend, he gets her a dog and takes her to the river, where he spent his childhood. They have fun and hold hands all through. He goes to the gym and announces that he wants to continue boxing. He reveals it is because he needs money. He starts a relationship with Yoonghwa, and they are happy. Whenever he goes boxing, she checks his face with her hands when he returns so she knows if he is injured or swollen. She also starts learning to massage his body to make him feel better. She messages him one day, and he tells her he wants them to save up to open a wood shop and make products to deliver. He ensures he doesn't take any physical injury back home so that she won't see his injury if she touches him. On Children's Day, she reminds him that he is to take her somewhere. He takes her to her parents' grave, reminding them that she had promised them that when she sees a man, she will bring him. She also tells them she felt he was a good man the first day she heard his voice. She tells him about the accident that took her parents' life in her eyes. They were coming from a vacation, and she was driving. She felt drowsy but wanted to give them a good graduation gift. Suddenly, a man set himself on fire and fell down the building. The driver driving opposite her had to swipe to her side, and the man hit their car. Cheol-min recalls that the man who had killed himself was the man he had beaten for money, which led to his arrest. Just as he was about to leave the house that day, he saw the man pour fuel on himself, and he tried to drag the man back but failed. He realizes he is the cause of everything. At about the same time, Yoonghwa's eyes suddenly start going completely dark. The doctor tells Cheol-min that the only alternative to stop her from going completely blind is to have her surgery. He needs money, so he meets Tae-sik for money. Tae-sik tells him there is a way they can get the money. He takes Yoonghwa on a play day and begs her to do the surgery, telling her he has saved some money. He takes the money for the deposit as he gets the instruction. He is to go to Thailand for a boxing competition, and although it is like normal boxing, they must not get caught by the government, and these people could find their loved ones and kill them. He sets everything that can connect him to Yoonghwa on fire as he meets her at the hospital, and watches her enter the surgery room. She begs him to wait for her, as she will soon return and see his face. However, he leaves. He tells his manager that he will put the money he gets in a bank, and if things go wrong, they should give Yoonghwa. He goes to Thailand and does the first fight. There is no rule for the fight, and the first to die or get knocked out loses. He survives the first fight, but the deal continues. If he wins the fight, he is to take a jar of diamonds back to Korea, and if he successfully reaches Korea, the remaining part of his money will be transferred to him. He takes the jar as he calls to confirm that Yoonghwa's surgery succeeded. When he gets to the river's shore, he receives a call from his business partners, who tell him they will call him again when he arrives at Incheon. A car suddenly hits him. The driver comes out and takes the jar, and seriously injures him. When Yoonghwa recovers, she starts looking for him. She searches the police station to no avail since she doesn't have his security details. The house she is staying in is to be renovated, so she is asked to leave. As they send her off, she receives a package from the hospital. It's the band that the sister had given Cheol-min. She goes to the hospital, where she finds out the man Cheol-min goes to meet at the hospital is the man who had attempted to kill himself. The man reveals all that had happened on the night of the accident, and Yoonghwa assumes that is why Cheol-min had left her. She opened the wood shop as they had planned. 2 years later, she is now very good at her craft. She works with a partner to whom she lies that she is married, and she also volunteers at a hospital by massaging the patients. She comes for a massage one day, and Cheol-min sees her. He has just been transferred from Incheon Hospital, and she massages his body without even knowing he is the one. She finishes and leaves while he cries. He follows her to her shop, and when he sees that she has taken their dog for treatment, he enters the shop and buys a plant. As he leaves, the dog sees him and jumps at him. Yoonghwa tries to ask him if they know themselves, But he shakes his head as they say he hasn't spoken since he was brought to the hospital, but he can hear. He leaves, and Yoonghwa goes to her shop. She realizes that he has just left her shop and she immediately knows he is the one. She runs after him but doesn't find him, and she calls the hospital, and they tell her he has checked out. She goes to his childhood river in hopes of seeing him there. He is truly at the river as he sees she has constructed 2 chairs and a table for them. She meets him and asks why he had her after she recovered. She runs to him, and the lovers hug him as the movie ends. Indeed, true love never dies. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed our recap, subscribe, comment, give us a like, and check out our channel, where you'll find stories that interest you.